As a young man, Peter I adopted the Protestant model of existence in a pragmatic world of competition and personal success, which largely shaped the philosophy of his reformism. He perceived the Russian people as rude, unintelligent, stubborn in their sluggishness, a child, a lazy student. He highly appreciated the state's role in the life of society, saw it as an ideal instrument for achieving high goals, saw it as a universal institution for transforming people, with the help of violence and fear, into educated, conscious, law-abiding, and useful to the whole society subjects. Peter had a keen interest in the education of a Christian prince, which offers advice to rulers on how to govern justly and wisely. He introduced into the concept of the autocrat's power the notion of the monarch's duties. He considered it necessary to take care of his subjects, to protect them from enemies, and to work for their benefit. Above all, he prioritized the interests of Russia. He saw his mission as turning it into a power similar to Western countries and subordinated his own life and the lives of his subjects to this idea. He gradually embraced the idea that the task should be accomplished through reforms, carried out at the autocrat's will, who creates good and punishes evil. He considered the morality of a statesman separately from the morality of a private person and believed that the sovereign, in the name of state interests, could resort to murder, violence, forgery, and deceit. Peter went through the naval service, starting from the lowest ranks: bombardier, 1695, captain, 1696, colonel, 1706, Schoutbijnacht, 1709, vice-admiral, 1714, admiral, 1721. By hard daily work and courageous behavior, he demonstrated to his subjects his personal positive example, showing how to act by fully devoting himself to the fulfillment of duty and service to the fatherland. Peter reigned for around 43 years. He implemented sweeping reforms aimed at modernizing Russia. Heavily influenced by his advisors, like Jacob Bruce, Peter reorganized the Russian army along modern lines and dreamed of making Russia a maritime power. He faced much opposition to these policies at home but brutally suppressed rebellions against his authority, including by the Streltsy, Bashkirs, Astrakhan, and the greatest civil uprising of his reign, the Bulovin Rebellion. In his process to westernize Russia, he wanted members of his family to marry other European royalty. In the past, his ancestors had been snubbed at the idea, but now it was proving fruitful. He negotiated with Frederick William, Duke of Courland, to marry his niece, Anna Ivanovna. He used the wedding to launch his new capital, St. Petersburg, where he had already ordered the construction of westernized palaces and buildings. Peter hired Italian and German architects to design it. He attracted Domenico Trazzini, Carlo Bartolomeo Rastrelli, Jean-Baptiste Alexander Leblanc, and Andreas Schluter. To improve his nation's position on the seas, Peter sought more maritime outlets. His only outlet at the time was the White Sea at Arkhangelsk. The Baltic Sea was controlled by Sweden in the north, while the Black Sea and the Caspian Sea were controlled by the Ottoman Empire and Safavid Empire, respectively, in the south. The country's need for metal was exacerbated by the outbreak of wars for access to the Black and Baltic Seas. Peter attempted to acquire control of the Black Sea, which required expelling the Tatars from the surrounding areas. As part of an agreement with Poland that ceded Kiev to Russia, Peter was forced to wage war against the Crimean Khan and against the Khan's overlord, the Ottoman Sultan. Peter's primary objective became the capture of the Ottoman fortress of Azov, near the Don River. In the summer of 1695, Peter organized the Azov campaigns to take the fortress, but his attempts ended in failure. Peter returned to Moscow in November 1695 and began building a large navy in Voronezh. He launched about 30 ships against the Ottomans in 1696, capturing Azov in July of that year. He appointed Alexander Gordon, who later would publish a biography of Peter. Peter used to hold all his important meetings and numerous celebrations in Lefort's palace.